Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars, welcome to another PlayStation 5 review. Today's review is for WWE 2K22. We are here again, we have another WWE game. Now I've covered quite a few WWE games over the years on the channel. I've been a big fan of wrestling for many years. I don't follow it as much as I used to these days. But I'm still aware of it. I still watch bits and pieces, mainly on YouTube and all that kind of stuff. But I've been playing wrestling games since way back on the PlayStation 1 system. I remember there's been some absolutely brilliant wrestling games over the years. And generally speaking, I've always bought the most up-to-date wrestling game when it has been released on whatever console it may be. So I was one of those that bought WWE 2K20 when it came out, as many of you who are probably watching this review did too. Now that game obviously was a momentous disappointment for many. It was undercooked, legendary glitches, but to be fair, I found the game playable, but it was ultimately an incredibly disappointing wrestling game. So they took a year off to develop this game, WWE 2K22. And at the gap in between, they gave us WWE Battlegrounds, which was lackluster at best. It's a game I did buy and I did cover on the channel. I thought it was fun, some fun ideas in it, but the execution was a pretty bare bones, and it wasn't a brilliant game. However, we're here now. We finally got WWE 2K22. And what can we expect with 2K22? Well, there's been lots of reveals and announcements over the last few weeks leading up to the release of this game that's kind of had fans of wrestling and wrestling games in general crossing their fingers, because a lot of the coverage that was shown leading up to this game's release was very positive. They'd finally listened to the fans and included the MyGM Mode. They'd put the GM mode back into the game, and fans have been clamouring to have this mode put back in for well over a decade. They finally listened to fans and included that, and hoping that they would deliver a game that the fans would really appreciate. Well, have they done that? Well, I'm here to give you as in-depth a review as I can, because I've been playing it non-stop for a few days now. And I have to say, as WWE games go, this one does deliver for the most part. The first thing I want to talk about are the visuals. The game needed an update, especially on the newer consoles, the PlayStation 5s, etc. And they certainly have delivered in regards to how the game looks. The wrestlers, for the most part, look fantastic, photorealistic at times, and they've put a lot of effort into about 3/4 of the roster. There are still some on the roster that don't look brilliant, and it's clear they haven't been scanned, but they're still okay, and they're certainly a better standard than what we got in 2K20. They've definitely put a lot of work in, like the clothing, the costumes, the shines, the lighting. The entrances look incredible now. But for me, one of the biggest things they needed to change and update was like the hair mechanics in the wrestling game. The 2K20 hair mechanics were laughably bad, and they have certainly done that. Again, you're going to see me say this a lot. For the most part, for the wrestlers, a lot of people's favourite wrestlers, they look fantastic, and the hair mechanics look vastly improved on what we got. So, yes, for those of you that want almost like a simulation experience from the WWE TV products, you're going to be happy with the entrances, you're going to be happy with the music, the crowd, the atmosphere, and certainly the way the game looks and the way a lot of the wrestlers look. Some of them are still not up to scratch, but a massive improvement, I think, on the last game. In regards to what the game gives us then, well, I'll go through the modes, and a lot of them I'll go into a little bit more detail. Obviously, you've got the exhibition mode, which you all know what that is, especially if you played wrestling games. However, one thing I do need to point out is, as far as I'm aware, there are no new match types, which is disappointing. I would have hoped they would have been able to, fit in a couple of the match types that people have been asking for. But no, we don't get any new match types. But that's okay. There's still quite a lot of match types to choose from. You get the new Showcase mode. The cover star, Rey Mysterio, is the focus of this year's Showcase. And what do we get in Showcase? Well, essentially you get 12 matches in Showcase that follow the career of Rey Mysterio. Right back from Halloween Havoc in, is it 96 or 97 in WCW, all the way up to his career, right up to now in his WWE career with his son Dominic. It's really good. It's intertwined with like real footage and interviews with Rey Mysterio. It's actually a really polished Showcase experience, and you have to play it if you want to unlock some of the things that are in Showcase, like some of the wrestlers that are locked behind the Showcase matches, like Batista, Shawn Michaels, and Eddie Guerrero, and a couple of others like JBL and things. You have to play the Showcase mode to unlock them. Which is fine. I mean, it's a very, very good Showcase mode, and the Showcase modes are always quite fun to play. So, fans of Showcase, I think you're going to enjoy it this year. The Universe mode, which has always been my go-to mode, I'm not going to lie. Honestly, there's very, very little changes here. Not that I can tell. I've put a good few hours into the Universe mode. As I've said, that's my go-to mode. Other than a few more cutscenes. I mean, I don't remember 2K20 having hardly any cutscenes in regards to the wrestlers and things like that. There's much more in regards to cutscenes now in the Universe mode, but other than that, don't expect major changes there. They've obviously put their efforts into some of the other modes. So if you're a fan of Universe mode and you didn't really want that tinkering with too much, then you're probably not going to be too disappointed. I'm not massively disappointed that the Universe mode hasn't been particularly updated, but it would have been nice to have seen a couple of changes to it, maybe, just to update it a little bit, but maybe we'll get that next year. There's the much talked about MyGM mode. Now, the MyGM mode looked fantastic, and then we got a little more of an in-depth look into it, and it looked a little bit disappointing. Well, I've played the GM mode now you can play it up to like a full year sort of thing, and I think I'm up to week 15 or something like that in my version of GM mode. And it's actually alright, Now, you probably, if you've been watching the footage of this game leading to its release, you probably know a little bit about the GM mode, but basically you choose your general manager, and there's a few choices to choose from. You choose your show, and then you draft the wrestlers that you want, and then you're in complete control from then. You need to put the best matches together that you can to get the best ratings. You've got a budget to work to, so you can hire new wrestlers, hire legends, hire free agents, increase the production values of the show as and when you unlock the better versions, and see if you can work your way through the GM mode and get to number 1. It's a bit limited. There's only 3 matches on each show. There's only 2 titles, the heavyweight champion and the women's champion. You can't put any minor titles on the show like intercontinental or tag teams. Hopefully they will expand on that further next year. While it is a tad disappointing, it is still a little bit of fun to play, and I've had a bit of fun in the GM mode. But it is a bit bare bones, and I think they could have done a little bit better with the GM mode. I'm not going to lie. Now, MyFaction. This is a mode that they've put in there that nobody was asking for. I've tried the MyFaction mode. I put a couple of hours into the MyFaction mode. I'm not going to lie, it's not for me. It feels like a mobile game on this wrestling game that I've paid money for. It seems a little bit of an odd choice to put in here. It's basically collecting cards and upgrading them and all that kind of stuff, and it feels like it's a mobile game, and there are microtransactions available for you to buy better cards and all that kind of stuff. It's their attempt at trying to do what they do in the FIFA games and the basketball games and all that kind of stuff, and to be honest, it's a bit naff. And I probably will be putting very, very little time into the MyFaction mode. But if you're fans of like mobile games and collecting cards and all that kind of stuff, there might be something in the MyFaction mode for you. The MyRise mode. Well, I think it's fair to say the career mode in WWE 2K20 was probably the worst in memory. I can't think of a worse career mode than that one. It was abysmal. I have to say, I've put more hours into the MyRise mode than I normally would. It's actually pretty good. It's the usual thing. You start off in the performance center, you create your character, choose their style, all that kind of stuff, and then interact with people at the performance center, and then make your way through matches. There are choices. You can make choices. You can choose whether to be a face or a heel. There's social media interactions, all that kind of stuff, and it's actually pretty good. It's arguably the best career mode, even though they're calling it MyRise, that I've played for a number of years. I think they've all been pretty lackluster for a number of years, and this one so far has been my favourite. I haven't completed it yet, but I'm not getting bored of it yet. I'm not getting stale with it yet. It's actually pretty good, and the storylines keep you going, and just have a little bit more interaction from you in regards to the direction that you want to take your character in, face, heel, and some of the storylines and characters that you want to interact with. It's pretty nicely done and pretty well put together, and a damn sight better than what we got on the previous game. Another thing I forgot to mention in regards to Universe Mode, the only big difference as well to Universe Mode this year is you can do the Classic Mode, which is the old version of Universe Mode, or you can pick a superstar to play through Universe Mode. I haven't done that, I've done the Classic Mode, but that option's there if you want to try it. Now, much has been made this year about the new controls for WWE 2K22. They've kind of revamped the control system, as they always do every few years, to try and, say, we're trying to make it a bit more this and that or whatever. And I was a bit worried about it because I've got so used to the controls and how it was before. But actually, it's pretty easy to pick up. There's a good tutorial when you first turn on the game, and if you want to revisit that tutorial, it's in the menu as well. It's actually pretty good, the controls. They're fairly easy to pick up. I'm not a fan of the combos, I'm not going to lie. I'm not sure we need combos in a wrestling game. But the matches flow pretty good. I've not had any issues with that side of it at all. And they're actually, they're a cross between simulation and arcade. The matches flow very nicely. I like some of the new animations. You've got a few different ways to kind of reverse or block or dodge and all that kind of stuff. And, you do get used to it. But it does feel like they've put some mechanics in there just for the sake of it. So what we've got here, I think, is a bit of an upgrade. Well, more than a bit of an upgrade on 2K20. I think they're heading in the right direction. Is it the best wrestling game that I've played for many, many years? That's hard to say, but it's definitely heading in the right direction, and I'm having a lot of fun with a lot of the modes. So I'm going to give this one an 8 out of 10. Definitely worth picking up if you're a fan of wrestling. Thankfully, guys, as well, I've not hit any glitches, bugs, game crashes or anything like that, so it's certainly running a lot smoother, even though there's probably going to be a lot of people when they do find a glitch or an error plastering it all over the social media and YouTube, because let's be honest, there are going to be some, but hopefully they'll patch them out fairly quickly. But I have not experienced any, and I've put a lot of time into this game so far. So hopefully, guys, you've found this review useful. If you've held off on buying this because you've been worried about it, I'll say, guys, you're pretty safe if you're a fan of wrestling games here. It is worth picking up. I'm having a lot of fun with a lot of the modes, even though some of it is a little bit disappointing, like Universe, and certainly the MyFaction Mode is a little bit odd, in my opinion. So thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this review. I hope you found it useful, and I'll be back with plenty more reviews and content on the channel very, very soon.